So the biggest news story for the day is the fact that the Supreme Court has begun hearing a petition challenging the constitutional validity of the Places of Worship Act. Now, this is something you're going to read a lot about in the news. It's going to keep coming up. So, in this story, what I'm going to do is first take you through what the Places of Worship Act is, why it is important, who actually passed it in Parliament and brought it into a law, and why they did that, and what the challenge before the Supreme Court says today, and also both sides of those arguments. So then going forward, if you watch till the end of this video, you will know everything about this story. And going forward, as you track the news, you see it in the news, you can decide for yourself what you think is good or bad, because you would have been armed with all of the information. So stay till the end of this video. Remember, like, share, subscribe. But here we are going to talk about the Places of Worship Act. Now today, the Supreme Court of India, there's a 3-judge special bench that's been put together, led by the Chief Justice, that's actually taking a look at this. And the Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, Justice Sanjay Kumar, and KV Vishwanathan are actually hearing this petition today. But first, before we talk about the petition, let's talk about the law itself, right? And for that, I'm just going to quickly share my screen and take you through the Places of Worship Act that you're seeing on your screen right now. This was passed in 1991. This is what it says now. Sections 1 and 2 are effectively just definitions of what is a place of worship. But really, this is the portion that is effective. Point number 3, no person shall convert any place of worship of any religious denomination into a different section. So basically, what you cannot change the status of a place of worship. And then if you scroll down further in point number 5, you will see this act does not apply to the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid conflict, because effectively that conflict predated independence, and it was before 1947. This conflict already existed. So this is the one conflict that was not included under this act. Apart from that, anything that is ancient monument or an archaeological site is not under this act, and anything in which a court has already resolved the problem is not under the act, right? So this, as you can see, is the Places of Worship Act of 1991. Now, what was happening in 1991 for this law to have been brought about? This law was actually brought about by the Congress government under P.V. Narasimha Rao, who was the Prime Minister then. This is because the Ram Janmabhoomi project of the BJP and the RSS that really picked up at that point across the country. And they felt the need to bring this in response to that movement. At that time, the Home Minister was S.P. Chavan. And if you see, it's available on the internet. If you're so inclined to do that kind of reading, this is actually transcribes from the Lok Sabha debates that took place when this law was tabled before Lok Sabha. So I must point out here, at this point, the BJP was in opposition and they opposed the bill. Some of them walked out of Parliament as well, and I'll take you through what some of them said. But S.B. Chavan basically said that there's an alarming rise of intolerance propagated by certain sections for their vested interest. And that's why we're bringing out this particular law. In a response to that, BJP MPs, some of them walked out of Parliament, but some of them said that this is being brought in to appease minorities, and it will only increase the rift between Hindus and Muslims and makes things worse. Now, the argument basically from the opposition at this point was BJP. From their side was that India had seen a series of conquerors who had come in and destroyed places of worship and built their own places of worship on top of it, because that is something that conquerors did. And by passing this law, what you're doing effectively is basically wiping out all of that history. But the law passed nevertheless at that time, in spite of the fact that, there was a walkout and all of that. So then why are we talking about it now? If there is a law, then why is there a debate? There is a debate because the Supreme Court last year passed an order in the Gyanvapi case. You would have read about that as well. So what the Supreme Court effectively said, and this specifically refers to former Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who had allowed for a survey to take place in that 17th century, Gyanvapi mosque, to see whether there were ruins of a Kashi Vishwanath temple under it. Now, what was the justification given by the Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud at the time when he passed this order? He effectively said that the 1991 law did not prevent investigation into the status of a place of worship. as long as you don't seek to alter that status. So there was a loophole there that he introduced, saying that it's okay to investigate the history and the status as long as we're not looking to alter that, then we are not violating that 1991 law. After that, of course, there was a lot of criticism because there was a feeling that, like we see in these headlines that I'm going to show you, there was a feeling that the Supreme Court had opened a Pandora's box effectively, because if the aim was to keep the peace, as soon as you allow investigation and you create that doubt and you create that question, there will obviously be problems. Like, take, for example, this column written by Harshmander on the fact that he talks about, the Sammal, he talks about the fact that this entire judgment given by the Chief Justice is deeply problematic. And I'm going to quote from it. He says, if you allow the survey of the mosque to determine if a temple lay below it, then it prohibits actions to restore the temple to that site. This is surefire recipe for fostering resentment, hate, and fear that could detonate for years in bitter feuds between people. So he effectively said that this is an impossible situation. You're going to allow for investigation where people can find out if there was a temple underneath, and then you can't do anything about it, and that is just going to create a lot of resentment. And so there was a lot of criticism of that one particular order. Cut to now today. Now I want to take you through what is happening today and why this case, of course, has come before the Supreme Court and what those arguments are. There's a great article in News Laundry as well that you can take a look at that I found very interesting. And that's an article that you can look at. You subscribe to News Laundry as well. So effectively, we know what the Act says and what the exceptions are. So right now, what has happened is Advocate, Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay, who's also incidentally a member of the BJP, has come forward and asked, basically his petition is that these articles that are in the law are basically unconstitutional. He's basically saying that it infringes on a individual's right to equality and freedom of religion to actually put in these particular laws that say that you cannot restore something that was technically destroyed by an invader. So Advocate Ashwini Kumar is arguing that the Act takes away the rights of Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, and Sikhs to restore their places of worship and their pilgrimages that were destroyed by barbaric invaders. Now, on the other side, and we have an argument here that has been filed that basically says that by doing this, you are obviously opening lawsuits that are unmaintainable, because now everything is under question. And since we are removing that line of the date of independence as the final stop after which we don't question this, then it's just going to go on forever and ever and ever. Now, I also want to point out that going into court right now, it's Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay versus the Union of India, but we have political parties, the Communist Party of India, the Indian Union Muslim League, the NCP Sharad Pawar, Jitendra Awad, we've got the RJD, we've got several other people who've come in to challenge or to intervene. And also we have historians, people like Rumila Thapar, who have, there's a very long list also available on the internet that you can look at, who are basically arguing that this act is crucial to maintain communal harmony and the secular character of the nation of India. And if you remove this act or alter it in any way, you will be challenging the secular character of India. So these are the two arguments really that are before the court that the court is going to be examining. On one side, you have the argument that by preventing this, by putting in this law, what we're doing is preventing the people who want to restore temples their right to freedom of religion, which is a fundamental right in our country. And on the other side, the challenge on the other side says that this entire matter is untenable, and then you can just keep going back into history. How far back do you have to go? But also the argument that this law, the way it stands right now, is integral for the fabric of India's secular society. And if you remove this law, that you will be causing a lot of strife and a lot of damage. So these are the various arguments right now before the Supreme Court and before you as well. So you can leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know which of these two sides do you agree with, and where do you believe the real real justice lies here. Because remember, before the court is not the question of peace and harmony. Before the court is a question of justice. The court has to interpret the law in reference to our constitution, our fundamental rights, and see if the law is in fact constitutional based on what our constitution says and assures to us as a fundamental right. So that's what's effectively going to happen in the Supreme Court of India. Leave a comment, let me know. And also let me know if there are any other subjects that you think we should take up on this show, where we give you both sides. Thank you for watching.